Greetings. I am Solomon. Draw near and let the noise of your modern world fade into the background for a moment. You live in an age of infinite connections, but shallow depth, where a man can have 1,000 followers, yet not a single friend who knows the true weight of his soul. But wisdom is not found in the multitude. It is found in the direction of your steps, and in those who walk beside you. Thousands of years ago, I watched the travelers passing through the gates of Jerusalem. I saw kings who fell into ruin and shepherds who rose to honor. The fundamental difference between them was never the amount of gold in their treasuries, but the people they allowed into their private councils. This led me to record a truth that has outlived my own empire and that resonates today in the corridors of your life. He who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. Let us dissect that word, walk. In my time, walking was not a casual stroll in a park. It was a long, dangerous, and shared journey. To walk with someone meant sharing the dust of the road, breathing the same air, and adjusting your pace to theirs. If they climbed, you climbed. If they stumbled into a ditch, you were close enough to fall with them. There was no way to keep your own robe clean if your companion decided to crawl in the mire. Today, you are still walking, but your road is paved with pixels, voices, and digital influences. You are walking with the podcasters you listen to, with the commentators you follow, and with the friends who complain about life over coffee. Every voice you allow into your ear is a person you are walking with, and slowly, silently, you are becoming one of them. The man who believes he is immune to the company he keeps is the most dangerous kind of fool. He is like someone walking in the rain who is surprised to find himself wet. Think of the trajectory of your life up to this point. You have lived long enough to know that time is your scarcest resource. At 40, 50, or 60 years old, you no longer have the luxury of wasting decades on friendships that bear no fruit. Maturity requires pruning. Just as I pruned the vines in my gardens so they would yield sweeter grapes, you must prune your social circles so your soul can flourish. Wisdom is contagious, but folly is a virus, and both require proximity to spread. Curious, why do you surrender your most precious asset, your attention, to those who have no direction? In your modern world, you become a companion of fools every time you scroll through the anger of strangers or listen to the mockery of the cynical. You are becoming a reflection of the shadows you consume. A man's tragedy is not just the mistake he makes, but the environment he created that made that mistake seem acceptable. Integrity is a solitary build, but wisdom is a work of collective architecture. Choose your building partners with the same care I used to choose the stones for the temple. Let us move deeper into the anatomy of what truly constitutes a wise man. For in your era, wisdom is often mistaken for the mere accumulation of data. You have the world at your fingertips, yet so little peace in your hearts. The wisdom I recorded in my Proverbs is not a cold, detached intellect. It is righteousness applied to the fabric of daily life. To walk with the wise means to observe how a man treats those who can offer him nothing in return. How he reacts when loss knocks at his door, and how he remains silent when the fool clamors for a fight. Have you ever wondered why some men seem to carry an aura of order, even in the midst of a chaotic storm? It is not luck. It is the result of decades spent walking with voices that corrected them, rather than voices that merely flattered them. If you wish to be such a man, you must first learn to discern between the architects of the soul and the demolishers of the spirit. The fool, my friend, is loud. He hides behind borrowed opinions and arrogant certainties. He delights in exposing the faults of others while ignoring the massive beam in his own eye. The contagion of folly is a silent one, like a slow leak that rots the beams of a great mansion, long before the first crack appears in the ceiling. When you walk with the fool, you do not become a fool overnight. You simply begin to accept what you once found unacceptable. You start to laugh at things that should cause you grief. You begin to justify small deviations in character because everyone around you is doing the same. And Here lies the trap. The destruction promised in the proverb is not a lightning bolt from the sky. It is the inevitable harvest of seeds you allowed your companions to plant in your garden. Consider the men you listen to on your devices, the mentors you have chosen through the glass of your screens. Are they walking with you through the valley of decision? Do their voices produce in you a desire to be more upright or merely more greedy? Wisdom is magnetic, but it demands that you abandon the comfort of mediocrity. Walking with the wise will cost you your pride, but walking with the fool will cost you your destiny. I have seen kings trade counselors of 30 years for impetuous youths who only said what the king's ego wanted to hear. The result? Burned cities and lost lineages. Do not make the same mistake in your private life. The maturity you have reached now, in these vital years between 45 and 65, is the most fertile ground for true wisdom, because you already have the scars to prove that the world is no place for amateurs. Use this time to filter your company. Be ruthless with the entry of foolish voices into your mind, and be a guardian of the light you wish to leave as a legacy for those who follow in your footsteps. Knowledge is a harvest that sits in a barn, but wisdom is the bread that feeds a starving nation. It must be used to be realized. Think of the Queen of Sheba. She traveled from the ends of the earth, crossing harsh deserts and unforgiving terrain, not to see my gold or my cedar palaces, but to test my wisdom with hard questions. She understood that wisdom is a commodity, more precious than the spices and jewels she brought in her caravan. She was willing to pay the price of a grueling journey just to sit at the table of the wise for a few days. My question to you is, what price are you willing to pay? Many men in your generation claim they want wisdom, but they are unwilling to cross the desert of their own ego to find it. They want the crown without the counsel. But let us move from the halls of my palace to the reality of your daily life. How do you practically walk with the wise when the world around you seems to celebrate the foolish? I want to give you a task, an exercise for the soul, that I often gave to the young nobles in my court. I call it the Audit of the Three Gates. For the next 7 days, I want you to stand as a sentry at the entrance of your mind. Every time you engage with a voice, whether it is a person in your office, a commentator on your screen, or a friend on the phone, subject them to 3 questions before you allow their words to settle in your heart. First, does this person have the fruit of what I desire to become? Do not listen to a man speak on marriage if his own home is in ruins. Do not listen to a man speak on wealth if he is a slave to his own greed. Second, does this voice sharpen my character, or does it merely soothe my pride? A fool will tell you that you are right even when you are walking toward a cliff. A wise man will wound you with the truth to save your life. And third, if I become like this person, will my grandchildren be proud of the man I have become? If the answer is no, then you are not walking with a companion, you are hosting a parasite. This exercise is not meant to make you arrogant, but to make you intentional. You are at an age where you can no longer afford to be a passenger in your own life. You must be the captain of your influences. It takes courage to silence a voice that has been in your ear for years. It takes strength to say, I can no longer walk this path with you. But the moment you clear the weeds of folly from your garden, the flowers of wisdom finally have room to breathe. Remember the Queen of Sheba. She left my palace breathless, not because of the wealth she saw, but because of the order she experienced. Your life, too, can be a place of order, if you choose your companions with the fear of God as your guide. We have traveled a long road together today, from the gates of Jerusalem to the digital highways of your modern age. We have dissected the anatomy of the fool and the architecture of the wise. But now, as the shadows lengthen and our time together nears its end, I must leave you with the ultimate purpose of this journey. It is not enough to simply find wise men to walk with. The goal of your life, especially in these golden years of your maturity, is to become the wise man that others seek. What will be said of your footsteps when you are no longer here to take them? A man who walks with the wise eventually begins to carry the scent of wisdom upon his own robes. He becomes a shelter for the broken, a compass for the lost, and a steady hand for the generation that follows. There is no greater waste than a man who has lived 60 years and has nothing to offer the young but his own regrets. Do not let that be your story. I once stood in the finished temple, a house built of cedar, gold, and stone. But the true glory was not in the materials. It was in the order and the peace that filled the court, because men of wisdom had labored together. Your life is a temple, and the people you allow into your inner court will determine if that temple stands as a monument to God's grace or a ruin of missed opportunities. Neutral, go now. But do not go back to the noise. Silence the voices that devalue your soul. Seek out the few who sharpen your iron, and most importantly, walk so closely with the Creator that his wisdom becomes your own breath. For the path of the upright is like the first gleam of dawn, shining ever brighter until the full light of day. Take the exercise I gave you, apply the audit of the 3 gates, and watch as the fog of confusion begins to lift from your life. I am Solomon, and I will be here, waiting at the gates, for our next conversation. Until then, walk in wisdom, and may your path be straight.